Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. Today has been a big day for Hearthstone. The new expansion was announced and the first set of Mercenaries balance changes are live. They're already available in the game. 13 Mercenaries have been buffed. No nerfs, only buffs. And the buffs are mostly for protectors and fighters. There's only one caster buff. So we have had this meta where casters are really important, and then Karen Diablo are really important. But now we're getting a bunch of buffs that are going to change the meta, make other protectors, make other fighters also viable, and one caster buff that's also looking very interesting. Not all buffs are exactly alike. For example, this one, Carrier Roam, is going to gain a buff of 6 health to her stats. No changes to equipment, no changes to abilities. Carrier Roam, of course, is one of the available turn 1 taunt minions, but there are going to be some spicier turn 1 taunt minions after these buffs, I think. So 6 health buff from Cariel, okay, makes it easier for budget players, for example, to climb through PvE content, because Cariel is the taunt minion you typically use in PvE there. But for PvP, I don't think this is going to make that big of a difference. However, Cariel's dad, Cornelius, is getting a major buff. Hold the Front, which has been 4 speed, 1 cooldown. Cornelius has been a turn 2 taunt. You want to position Cornelius in the middle so that your other minions are on the sides. So that then Cornelius can taunt up, heal them up a little bit, but that only happens on turn 2. Now, no cooldown. So Cornelius can taunt every single turn. Obviously, don't last 2 turns, so you don't have to taunt every single turn, but you can if you want to heal both of your adjacent mercenaries every single turn, and that happens at speed 2, so really quickly. But also Cornelius' Blessing of Sacrifice, which allows Cornelius to transfer damage from another merc to Cornelius. It's still going to have 1 cooldown, you still can't do that on turn 1, but that's also going to happen at speed 2 at best, so Cornelius is really tanky and able to protect your other mercenaries really quickly. Do you have room for this? Is Cornelius enough of a threat? Do you have a pair of other mercenaries who are so big of a threat that having Cornelius protect them is worth it? I'm not sure yet, but Cornelius is looking like a very strong tank right now. And remember that one sort of a legendary mercenary, except that everyone was given it for free and it wasn't really very legendary because it wasn't very good. Well, that would be Grommash Hellscream, but look at these Grommash buffs. Staggering Slam. So damage to an enemy, ability is slower, from 4 speed to 2 speed. Grommash can instantly wreck any sorts of combos, messing up your opponent's timings. That's not on a cooldown, that's just a phenomenal improvement to Staggering Slam. And Battle Fury, which was mostly useless, gain attack an enemy or one of its neighbors at 9 speed, like who's going to be able to use that? It still has cooldown, but now speed is down from 9 to 6, so we're seeing a bunch of these abilities that have been too slow to be useful now buffed into new mid-range speeds and maybe, just maybe, finding a place in the meta. I think Grommash suddenly became very interesting if you can find a good use for that Staggering Slam that makes abilities slower. Then we have some demon buffs led by Lord Jaraxxus. Fist of Jaraxxus used to be 6 speed, deal 12 damage to a random enemy, repeat for each of your other demons. Now 4 speed, deal 15 damage to a random enemy. Repeat for each of your other demons. Alright, so a bit more damage and a lot faster. If you have some kind of demon comes out, you have multiple demons out, this can actually deal a good chunk of damage. And you can also make more demons more easily, because Fell Infernal, cooldown removed, speed down to 4. 4 speed, plus 2 fell damage demon minion. If it sticks, your fell spell abilities are just getting that much more dangerous. I'm not sure if you can still make a Fell Infernal stick, but Jaraxxus has been the weakest of the demons, so good chunk of buffs to Jaraxxus' abilities might see more experimentation, maybe some results from the demon comp. And then there's Varian Vryn. Retaliation has been such a bad effect that it has almost become a joke of its own, but no longer maybe. Retaliation cooldown to 0, retaliation can be used on turn 1, and after an enemy attacks this turn gain +5 attack and attack it. So now you have Varian, you equip Varian with Charlemagne. Varian has a bunch more attack, retaliation, usable immediately at the start of the game, giving Varian even more attack, hitting back. Really dangerous counterplay to Comstead attack. Okay, there are not that many Comstead attack, you have like King Crush and you have Samuro. But with all of these buffs that are coming, maybe there's more room for stuff to attack, and maybe Varian can be used to fight back against that. On the subject of stuff that attacks, how about the new Illidan? Illidan has already seen some experimentation in various comps, it's been maybe just a tad too weak, but now. Stat buff, first of all, 12 attack, 74 health, that's plus 3 attack, that's plus 5 health, that's a pretty massive stat buff. Then Blade Dance cooldown down to 1, Blade Dance deal damage equal to Smirk's attack to 3 random enemies, not usable on turn 1 but usable on turn 2. And then Demon Shroud equipment, from taking 5 less damage while attacking to taking 10 less damage while attacking. Is Illidan the new Samuro? Illidan is certainly looking more attractive now and just something that I really can't wait to play with. I've already been playing with Mutanus a lot, but Mutanus is getting better and Mutanus is just a beast. Scaly Taunt, from takes 3 less damage this turn to take 5 less damage this turn. And Iridescent Necklace, Scaly Taunt makes this Merc take 3 less damage and is immune to critical damage this turn. So maybe Iridescent Necklace can actually be an alternative to Earthen Armor in some scenarios. Up to this point, the passive stats have just been better than the additional damage reduction, but now with more damage reduction from Scaly Taunt, critical immunity from Necklace, Mutanus is just very tanky. And old Murkai, the Murloc Swarmer, is getting interesting buffs. Felfin Navigator, give you other Murlocs +5/+5 in the future, and then Giant Film from 1616 to 2020. And also the Primordial Fin equipment, arguably the weakest equipment for Murkai, has been Giant Fin Gaze plus added attack and Divine Shield. So now you can punch in that 28 damage and still have the Murloc left on the board, so that's a little bit more interesting. It's not quite Warm as the Worm's Worm level, but still. Murlocs, they're getting better. Murloc Company one. And on the subject of those demons, Ratorian getting buffs. Ratorian getting an attack buff to 11 attack, 76 health, and Hulking Overfiend. From Rush to Battlecry, attack the lowest health enemy. So now Hulking Overfiend is kind of like a King Rush, in that it just goes where you want it to go, because it goes to the lowest health enemy. And also this means that the Ratorian Rokara combo is now 100% reliable in taking down Heroic Snowclaw, because Hulking Overfiend can never hit the boss first, so Heroic Snowclaw completely solved thanks to this buff. Speaking of Rokara, Rokara is also getting a buff with Orc Onslaught ability from 7 speed to 5 speed. We're seeing a lot of these abilities going to 6 speed, 5 speed, 4 speed, just a tad faster, just bringing them actually into the game, whereas previously you had like a 7 speed ability and you never get to cast that, you're just dead before you do. Orc Onslaught especially, it's a cooldown ability, it's not available turn 1, you have to use it on turn 2. Now, Orc Onslaught dealing some damage repeating for orcs that you control. Yeah, interesting new damage option for Rokara. Then probably the weakest buff of the set on Scab's Scudderbutter, from 8 attack and 69 health to 10 attack and 72 health. Scabs does bring some damage with Tactical Strike and especially with Shadow Blade. Attacking into something going into stealth, that's something that I experimented with a bunch in various budget comps, especially with Honing Rod on that Shadow Blade. 2 more attack, is it going to make a difference? I don't think it will. Scab still looks a little weak to me, but we'll see in testing. And then the buff that we knew was going to happen, this was discussed in the Global Invitational stream, where the developer said that Tyrion was nerfed just before release, and these are the pre-nerf stats. So Tyrion is going to have 12 attack instead of 9 attack. 12 attack going in at 2 speed against an enemy whose attack is 1. We'll see. Tyrion saw play briefly with Ashbringer, but the problem was that no one was killing Tyrion, so Tyrion wasn't quite able to deliver on that team-wide buff. But we'll see if 12 attack helps the hero at all. Finally, the 13th Mercenary getting buffed, and the only caster getting buffed is Gul'dan, with Siphon Life going from 7 speed to 6 speed. And this is an interesting buff because Siphon Life dealing damage, healing all your friendly orcs and demons. So now that it's by far Gul'dan's fastest ability, maybe there are some things that Gul'dan will be able to do with this and keep orc or demon team alive. I think this is a really interesting and promising looking set of buffs overall. A couple of them I'm not fully convinced that they're going to change the Merc's position in the meta, but we now have a bunch of more viable taunt options. Mutanus, Cornelius are especially becoming a lot beefier. Then we have stuff like Illidan being a real threat now. So it will be interesting to see what happens to meta thanks to these buffs. The buffs are already live, so you can go try out various comps with these right now. thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and check out my Twitch channel.